médiatiques, les chaînes africaines, à un prix imbattable. À un prix imbattable. Tenez-vous bien, $185 pour 12 mois, inclus le box. Alors, où est-ce que vous pouvez trouver mieux que ça si ce n'est pas sur Tempo Afrique TV? Mesdames, Messieurs, appelez seulement le 612 804 0295 et vous serez servi. Vous serez agréablement surpris de voir plus de 4000 chaînes de télévision rouler sur votre écran comme ça et vous choisissez laquelle vous voulez. Alors mesdames, n'hésitez pas. N'hésitez surtout pas et ne faites pas compter. Prenez votre téléphone, prenez le tout de suite et appelez le 612, le 804, le 02 95. Nous sommes là, ici à Tempo TV, pour rendre votre vie simple et agréable. Alors, saisissez l'occasion donc. $185 pour toute une année, pour 12 mois, inclus le box. Quoi de mieux que ça?
All right, welcome 2020, seventh episode of Sahani. Glad in studio to have me today, DJ Banky. I'm gonna give a little background on DJ Banky. First of all, shout out to you for coming through. You're the first person I've interviewed in 2020. COVID got everything messed up.
Honor, bro.
As you can see, we are staying home, working from home. And we got DJ Banky. DJ Banky is a DJ in Minneapolis, but he caught my eye a few months back when he started making some moves that I got really interested in. Me, myself, wanting to go into the entrepreneurship space and also using this platform, the Sahani platform, to bring on entertainers and entrepreneurs, of which he both is. I was like, okay, this is somebody, he came into my radar and I'm like, this is somebody that I would like to have on the show. An opportunity for all of us to learn as well as for me to learn. And he's giving this basically like what Jay-Z said, like game worth $1 million for free basically. So he's gonna share with us a little bit of how he came up, what he's doing right now, and some advice on maybe how you could get started or some things that you could apply in whatever field you're in to basically grow. Banky, say a little something to the people.
Man, I'm honored. Bro, I'm honored, man. That's a tough intro right there. But yeah, I appreciate it. You know, DJ Banky is my name. Elijah, depending on which side of my life you know me from. But you know, I'm blessed to be here. Came from West Africa, born and raised, and you know, my wife and I and my daughter here. We're just trying to live this American dream. And each day that we're alive, especially days like this, it's a blessing, man. So I appreciate you having me, man. This is a big honor, man. Thank you very much.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right, so we're gonna kick it off right away. I like to, for our audiences to connect with our guests, I usually like to go way back because, like I always say, if I'm looking, for instance, I'm gonna just give an example. Diddy's doing great, right? I'm talking about Puff Daddy. He's doing great, but he's so far removed from my reality. I could just look at that and be in awe and be like, wow, he's doing great things. But with people who I can connect with, it's people who, like you, like I see you on a daily, and when I see you make moves, I'm encouraged by that. So I like for you to relate with the audience with like that as well. So let's take it back to, you said you are from Nigeria, right? Where specifically in Nigeria?
Yeah, so I was born in Akure. Akure is a very rural city. It's like 4 hours from what everyone knows, which is Lagos, Nigeria. So about 4 hours from there. I grew up there. I came to the country in 1999. So that's 20 plus years now. Okay. My entire family, and we came here. We came to Minnesota straight, and we've been in Minnesota ever since.
Okay, give us a little bit of that transition from Africa to the U.S.? Was there some things that you noticed right away that were like maybe took you by shock, a little culture shock, or what is it all excitement for you?
The whole experience is a culture shock, man. I think more than people realize. So Nigeria was colonized by British, right? So we spoke English, but we spoke the correct right English. Queen's English, exactly. You understand? Kenya colonized by British. You get it.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. So we spoke English, but it was the English that was spoken, the Queen's English. So when we came to the U.S., we had to relearn how to speak English. So I was fortunate enough that at least I understood English and I was very articulate and I was literate. But I had to relearn how to talk, right? I had to relearn the American way of speaking. Things like trash is dustbin and boot is trunk in American language. And
did you ever go to a restaurant and ask for a serviette?
Bro,
let me get a serviette.
It's looking weird, right? Like Soviets, like wait, what?
Napkins for everybody who don't know, they call them napkins over here. But I'm looking at them like a napkin is what you put on a baby when a baby has soiled their pants. So I relate with you as far as the Queen's English and American English is such a struggle.
100%. So that in itself was a learning curve, right? So I had to relearn kind of how to communicate. So I was young enough. My little sister and I. So I'm number 4 or 5. So my little sister, we were able to kind of adapt. My older siblings, they adapted too, but I can imagine for them was probably even that much more of a challenge to adapt to the American culture.
Absolutely,
but it was hard for me, man. I was in 7th grade, and I had to just, I was in the middle of, a primarily white city, Blaine, Minnesota. And I had to just learn how to make friends, how to be, how to fit in. So it was hard times, man. I went through, Nigeria was not easy growing up in, but that time of my life was probably one of the hardest times of my life of just trying to relearn how to socialize and how to communicate, period.
Absolutely, and I can relate with that as far as me coming here. Imagine me coming here 18. So I speak English too, but like it's so hard to like jump from. I grew up in Kenya more than half of my life, so coming here and having to jump right into it, trying to make friends, trying to balance a job, trying to balance school as well. So it's such a struggle. So I definitely hear you on that. All right, so we're gonna jump right into. You say 99. You and the squad. We're gonna call them the squad. You and the family come to America by way of New York, and you end up in Minneapolis. We're gonna transition to college, which is where me having spoken to you before, I know this is where that you picked up your is it ear for music, or like you picked up your interest in music. So go ahead. Speak a little bit on how did DJing come about. Take us to that very first moment where you're like, all right, maybe I might be able to do this DJ thing.
Right. Yeah. So me and you, we've talked in the past. Like for me, music was always there, right? So I was born, I was born kind of in the church and being raised in the church, and I was kind of, I kind of come from a family of being, musically in tuned. So I played drums in my church.
Pause. You say church. Look at you in the clubs now. And rocking the people.
I can't have for all of us. So let no man judge me. I'm out here bringing happiness and peace to people. So we'll come back to that. But I grew up in the church, still a man of faith. 100%. But because I grew up, musically in tune, I played drums in church. I know how to play the piano just by simply hearing sound. I can kind of recreate on the piano. I played saxophone growing up, so I'm pretty musically.
That's classic.
Yeah, man. I play bass clarinet. I play, tenor sax. So I'm pretty in tune with music. That I've always loved music, right? Yeah. But it wasn't until I got to college that there was a need. This whole DJ thing was very accidental. I didn't go out wanting to be a DJ, or I didn't grow up having a plan to be a DJ, right? It was literally a classic. Pass me the aux moment. That's what gave birth to DJ Banky as you know it today. So I'm gonna tell you,
just to imagine that all this came from an aux. Pass me the aux.
Pass me the aux, man. A classic pass me the aux moment. We were at a house party with.
What college is this?
Yeah, so I went to University of Minnesota Duluth. So Duluth is 2 hours north of the Twin Cities. So that's where I got my degree in management and information systems. So we were just out, gathering together as friends. And again, it was the classic days of the small little iPod shuffle. People were like, "Hey, give Elijah the chord, the aux. I know you have some good music on your phone. I mean, not on your phone, just on the iPod shuffle."
Okay, so did everybody at this time, was everybody showing up with their own iPod, or there was one iPod that everybody was sharing?
People had music, and for whatever reason, I was just told, "Hey, I guess maybe I was known to just have some couple good music on my iPod." They're like, "Plug yours in." I did that, play a couple music, and I like the feeling of just kind of supplying good time. I was just like, this is kind of cool. Like that was literally kind of the first instinct. I was like, man, this could be cool.
You remember specifically what song you played, or that song that you played that had people going crazy?
I remember it was Afrobeat. I don't remember exactly which song, but I know that it was the P Square Wizkid days. The band Mo Hits. Who else was reigning back then? The band Mo Hits. Just the real classic Afrobeat artist.
You say P Square. I remember, bro. I danced to Easy. I remember those days in Kenya.
Yeah,
that was a jam in Kenya, bro. P Square was the shit.
All those guys, right? So, at that point, Afrobeat wasn't even cool. It was like almost like a underground thing, right? People, even our own people, were not associated with Afrobeat, right? But we loved it. It was our sound, our music. I played at a party, and it was just a good feel. And of course, I had some dancehall in there, some reggae, some hip hop.
Okay.
So it was a good feeling. And then from there, I took it one step up. So I just went, got a software, downloaded it, and started practicing a lot. And
was it virtual DJ that you got?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Got virtual DJ, downloaded it, and so I could then blend sound to make it sound like the track. The first time I transitioned from one song to the other, and it sounded like one sound, my mind was blown. I was like, "Oh, let's go!"
It was like what do they call that? There's a chemical associated with your body, dopamine, or like a dopamine rush.
Yeah, like a happy feeling.
Yeah.
So there, I just kind of grew organically. Dab, which most people in the Twin Cities know now, we're responsible for a lot of unique and exciting nightlife here in the Twin Cities. That started actually back in Duluth as well.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. I want to go into that, just touch on that a little bit. So you go into the Pass the Aux, whatever, everything goes on, and then you link up with two of your college friends, and you create this entertainment group called Dab Entertainment. And around, I want to say I came to Minnesota like 2012.
Right.
Dab was out there. So So is this 2012? Are you done with college, or you're still in college but you're holding shows in the city?
So I got done with college in 2009, I believe.
Okay.
So about my junior year or so is when I started dabbing. Actually, I didn't even start it. So it started as DA Entertainment, which was started by my guy Daniel and my guy AK. They came up with their name.
Daniel Yinloye,
Aki Falade, the two guys that started it. And then they came in and like, yo, they actually gave me the name Banky. My my now wife back then was friend that turned girlfriend, and Daniel, they came up with the name Banky for me, and they were like, you should join, become Dab, and how Dab came about.
Wow.
Yes, we just started with little house parties here and there. From there, we just organically grew because, we were problem solvers, which is the number one trait of being an entrepreneur and starting your own business is what problem are you solving? And for us, in Duluth, man, the nightlife was whack, straight up. The nightlife was like, I gotta go to a bar or go play bear pong. We didn't care for that. We just wanted to listen to good music. That's all we cared for. And so we just created that to give people a chance to come out, have a great time, and listen to our music. And so by the time we got done in Duluth, Dab grew from a house party to us actually renting out halls to do events, renting out big event space. And by the time we moved to the cities, we blew out because we were giving out quality events.
Okay, so was that transition into the city? Maybe this required a little bit of promotion work, but did they already know about whatever was going on in Duluth such that it created such an easy transition into the clubs in Minneapolis?
That's a great question. It was a totally different market. DJ Banky, the brand was, I would be featured out here. People started knowing about me here in the cities because cities are the bigger audience and more diverse audience. Yeah. So promoters. Shout out to people like Josiah. Shout out to people like Choches. They gave me a platform. Those were the guys that really gave me a platform in the beginning. Josiah, Choches, DJ Intense, we would collaborate. They would bring me out here in the cities to partake and be a guest DJ. So when I came here, I would start out as just being guest DJs, but then eventually I saw that there was a need to bring Dab here and really start doing my own events, and that's how it transitioned. But it was a brand new, starting over, because it was a totally different market.
Yeah, speaking on people giving you platforms and you playing it forward, like I say, this is only the 7th episode of Sahani, and for you to agree to come on the show, bro, it's a pleasure. That means you're paying it forward. The platform you were given is the platform you're also passing it forward. So shout out to you for coming out.
Thanks, man.
All right, so we're now so Banky that's the DJ side of Banky, right? But I also want to say a little bit of something that brought you into my radar. You started on this journey of financial freedom and made it to even platform like Good Morning America. I'm sitting on my couch one morning. I'm like, oh shit, I know this dude. He's from Minneapolis, and there goes you and your wife. So I want to understand the mentality that went behind you getting to the point finally where you're like, I need financial freedom to grow. What is it that sparked that thing in your mind that you're like, ah, shit, I need to start paying off loans and stuff. That's the only way that I could move forward, basically?
It's the credit goes to God and my wife. I mean, that's just the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a great thing. Not just a good thing. Me, I remix that and say, who finds a wife finds a great thing. Because for me, I found my wife, and that's the greatest gift that happened to me. Because my life was loose, man. I was trying to live that DJ life, and being a DJ, being a Nigerian, we gotta look the part. I was spending record, man. I was trying
Gucci all up and down. Show them now what you're on, because you left the Gucci life. You say no Gucci, no Fendi, no Chanel.
I don't care about none of that no more, man. We'll talk about the real estate in a little bit here, but I wasn't buying name brand stuff like Gucci and Fendi, but I was spending without really being conscious of it, right? And for me, it was okay because I was blessed enough to have a good job by the time I came out of college. I had an internship before I finished my internship. I had a job with a great company in the Twin Cities. From there, I continued to grow my career. And so for me, financially, comfortability was just being able to pay my bills. If I can buy a car that I can afford the car note, I was good. So I think anything else beyond that was I didn't care about that. So my wife, then girlfriend, we started talking, the more we started getting serious. She's like, look, if we're gonna get serious and build a life together, we gotta get better with this finances. She was opposite of me. She was conscious about every penny that she spent. She would find deals and she would be happy.
Responsible. Yes.
Very much so. Opposite of me, right? So it took her 6 months to convince me about starting this journey. When she first brought up the idea, I was like, why would we need to do that? We're comfortable. We can pay our bills. We've never missed a payment. And for me, mind you, even though I was good with my regular payments, my student loans were there was almost going to be not delinquent, but I forgot the term, but essentially delinquent, right? So I haven't paid for so long that it was already hitting my credit.
Okay,
So,
I see.
for me, I was kind of
So credit is not in your scope at all. You just thinking, I'm good with my car note, I'm good with my phone bill, I can put food on the table, that's about it, I can pay rent.
Exactly, I'm good. And then she brought up this idea. She was like, listen, I'm watching YouTube. She's like, imagine what our life can be if we this was before we got engaged. She's like, let's look at doing this better, right? Actually, it was right after we got engaged. Right after we got engaged, she's like, look, if we're going to build a life together, we got to be able to do more with what we have, right? Yeah. So it took 6 months to convince me to come on board. But once I did, she introduced me to Dave Ramsey, and she just kind of told me about it. It took me 6 months. I looked into his YouTube videos. I bought his book. I read it. I was a consultant then, so I was traveling around the country every week. I read that book from my flight to my site that week and back. I was done with it, and from there I just got super aggressive. And by the time we got done, like you said, we shared our journey on social media. People picked it up. We paid off $162,000 in 34 months. Yeah, 34 months. Yeah, man. It was easy, man. Thank you.
You had to deny yourself a lot, I'm sure, because to be able to pay that much, it requires not only effort from you, but it also requires coordinating your finances with your partner. You know what I mean? Right. These are things that you now have to be open about. You now have to be vulnerable enough to show your partner that you're not as financially responsible as people might think. You know what I mean? And right. and the same for her. Like, she now has to coordinate her finances with your finances, and it's a huge effort. You know what I mean? That's a huge effort. 162K down. Big shout out to that. I don't even know what to say anymore about that.
Yeah, it was definitely that. I think what you said is pretty much the hardest part, right? People always ask, well, where do you start? You gotta just start by being able to look at it. Just be able to sit down and just confirm what you have. If you have a partner, great. Then you guys do have to come together and just take a look at it and just own up to it, right? And that was the hardest part of just writing everything down and just seeing like, damn, we got a lot of debt. But once we got over that and we implemented budgeting and really having a game plan, man, the rest was history.
How long did it take for y'all to get through that process, if you can remember?
34 months. Oh, if I can remember. I remember exactly. 34 months from start to finish. 34 months.
34 months is 24, so a little short of 3 years.
Right, exactly. A little less than 3 years to pay off all the debt. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So I'm on that same journey right now. If you don't know what we're talking about the snowball. Is it called snowball effect or snowball?
Yeah, the snowball method. So there's a couple of ways people pay off debt. Some financial experts say use the avalanche, which is to list all your debt from the highest interest, paying that off first to the smallest interest. The snowball have you list all your debt from smallest balance to the highest balance. And so mathematically, it might not make sense because you're thinking, well, I want to pay off the one with the highest interest first. Mm-hmm, but the snowball method is you're focused on changing your programming, right? If you arrange all your debt from smallest balance and you eliminate the first one that is $200, it makes you feel good and it makes you feel encouraged to go to the next one. You knock that off, you take all the payments for another one, you put it, so it's a snowball effect, and the snowball gets bigger as you go along.
Okay, that's what's up. 162K down. You're still working. Like I say, this man is a man of many crafts. So you're still doing your DJ thing. 160K down. Then comes this very interesting thing that I believe we'll all learn about. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But you still in corporate and you start researching on wholesale or wholesale real estate, or what's the order in how things go?
Yeah, so as we're getting close to getting done with our debt, right, I started kind of asking myself, like, okay, we spent 34 months on obsessing over this goal and paying off this debt, from 162 to zero. What's going to happen now? Like, I needed something new to go after and kind of focus on to really set us up long term, right? Because that was the foundation. Eliminating debt was the foundation. So I started researching just how to build wealth, like how to build wealth for a long period of time, and everything came back to real estate. Everything came back to real estate. Real estate is responsible for the most made millionaires in this country.
People need to eat, and people need somewhere to live.
Right, exactly. So real estate, everything came back to real estate. So I was researching, like, again, YouTube University, and I don't know how I fell in the results, but I found this interview of someone that is doing this niche called wholesale and real estate. And with wholesale and real estate, you can literally not have to put money down, not have to own a property, no credit needed, and be able to make quick cash by doing it. So for me, the biggest takeaway was the only people that are successful are people that can hustle, because it's a simple concept, but it takes a lot of hustle and work. Yeah, you have to put in work. But for me, I was like, bro, nobody can out hustle me, man. I'm telling you, like you said, we got a lot of different ventures. Like, I can hustle. If I know there's going to be a result, there's going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Put in your work. Yeah.
Oh my God, you can't stop me, man. If I see one person that's done that before, I can do it. So I did that.
Yeah.
And people should understand that nothing good comes easy in life, right? So
Okay.
I found out about this niche of wholesaling. It took me 13 months. Hear me out. 13 months of going at it. The last like 6 months, I was calling 3 months a day, 6 days a week, talking to strangers.
Hold on. You gotta run that back. 13 months is a year and a month.
And a month.
What are you doing in this? Are you researching or you're actively in it? And what's going on in this 13 months?
Man, that's a great question, right? So people get caught up in doing what is called analysis paralysis, right? You're stuck on watching YouTube and reading books. The first time I read, no action, right?
Yeah.
When I found out about this niche called wholesaling real estate, I was up 10 hours watching YouTube. I was so drawn in on this concept. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I was drawn in. Next day, I took action. I started taking action by actually reaching out to sellers and just start calling them.
Literally the next day.
Literally the next day. I kid you not. The next day, I started calling sellers, right? So let me just take it back and I'm going to briefly explain just what wholesaling is.
I was going to go into that, because we're already talking about wholesale real estate. We didn't really break down what it is, so you can go ahead. Yeah.
So let me just break it down. So again, it's a super simple concept. So just follow me real quick. It's a super simple concept. So wholesaling real estate. So most people that want to sell their house, right?
Yeah.
95% of people that want to sell their house are going to do what? Like, for example, for you, if you wanted to sell your house right now, what's the first thing you think you'll do? Like, who do you call?
Real estate agent.
An agent. Yeah. A realtor, right? You're going to pick up the phone. Realtor. Everybody knows a real estate agent. They're going to call them and say, hey, I got a house. I know you're a licensed agent. Can you sell my house?
Can you help me sell it? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. To do that, there's steps that you have to take to have that house ready for the market. You got to get it ready. You got to be able to fix it up. You got to maybe make it look nice, paint it, all these things to get it ready for the market, to get the top dollar for that house.
Yeah.
There is that 5% of homeowners out there that they are in distress situations, that they are willing to not get the top dollar for their house. They're okay giving up some money in return for speed and for convenience.
Yeah, just give me whatever it is, 30K, 40K, and I'll let you have the house.
Right. So people are going to ask, well, who's going to do that? Who's going to sell their house that is worth $200,000 for $100,000? That's a lot of people. There's people that are in foreclosure that they got to sell. There's people that they inherited the property, which means that it was just passed down to them. People think a house is a blessing. Nah, not if you got to pay taxes on it. Not if you got to keep it up to code.
There's so much that goes behind the scenes that
you got to keep it up to date. The city is going to fine you if you don't mow the lawn or shuffle your snow, which can affect your life. So all these things, people that are in probate, which means their family passed away, people that need to move to Wisconsin because they got a job, or in Seattle.
Get rid of the house like that.
You got to sell it. So there's all this what we call pain points, all these distresses that makes them want to sell their house fast. I come in at that point so I have ways of marketing out to people like that. I reach out to them and I say, hey, this house that you have, I'm interested in buying it. I come in as an investor with the intention of buying that house. I put that property under contract to say that your house is worth $200,000. I can buy it for $100,000. I'm going to close in the next 2 weeks, all cash. I pay all the fees involved in the closing cost.
Okay.
So when
did that not scare you? Did you have $100K at the moment? Because you're saying I'm getting your house for $100K cash. Did that not scare you that you didn't have that money at the moment?
We're about to get into some gems right now. Like, your audience need to take some notes right now, because right now people pay for a lot of money for. I'm about to give you a free game right now, right?
Okay.
So that's a fantastic question, right? I saw that on that contract, the biggest thing that contract is like a page and a half. It's not anything long.
It's not too long. No little.
Under 30, 40. It's very simple, very straightforward ABC wordings, right? In there, the biggest and most important thing on there, it says, I'm going to buy your house or assign my right to buy the house. So I'm going to buy the house or I'm going to assign. What does that mean? So that means that me as investor, banking enterprise, all these terms that were listed, I'm going to buy your house for $100K and I'm going to close in 2 weeks. I'm gonna be the one to actually do that, or I'm gonna assign somebody else my right to perform on those agreements. Okay. So what that means is, again, you were the seller, right? I came to you. You have a house. It's worth 200,000. You agreed to sell it to me for 100,000. We go and sign the purchase agreement for me to buy or assign my rights to that property.
Yeah.
And we agree on 100,000, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I bring that paper, that agreement.
I sign it. Yeah. Yeah.
Already signed. I bring that paper,
Okay.
and I then bring it to an actual flipper or a landlord, someone that actually wants to close on that property. And I bring it to them. I said, oh, there's this deal here that this house is worth 200,000. I will assign my rights to buy that house.
To you.
I will assign it to you for a fee. So you can have my rights to buy this house for $120,000. The flipper sits down and looks at it and is like, man, this house is worth $200,000. It needs about $10,000 in repair. Even after closing costs, I can make at least $30,000 on this house. That's a great deal.
Okay.
So I bring.
So you tell them, you make sure that you specify your price too. For maybe it's 100K, but you're gonna have to give me 110. Or is your 10 already included in this 100K?
Good question. So my purchase agreement with the seller has 100K.
Yeah.
That's a signed purchase agreement. I now have a new signed document with the flipper, the end buyer, called an assignment contract. On the assignment contract, all he knows is I'm assigning you my rights to this property for 120K.
He doesn't know about the 100K.
He doesn't yet. Technically, he's going to know before he closes because he's funding the deal. So when the title company does all the paperwork and before we close, he's going to see that, damn, Banky got this property for 100,000.
Banky got his 20 stacks.
But guess what? See, people think, well, dang, maybe he's not going to close on it. You might have some buyers like that. But for the good buyers, they understand that they are getting a deal. And so when I talk to my buyers, I'm asking them, look, if you know that I made $100,000 on this deal, do you care about that? And the answer is,
provided the price is good for you. Okay.
If the numbers work for you, do you care how much I make? The ones that care that they're counting my pocket, I can't do business with them. But I've had big transactions that people know how much I'm making. They don't care because it works.
Provided the price is good for them.
If the numbers make sense for them, that's all that matters.
Okay. Wow. That is okay. So once you get that past that, what do you call that second document? The one that you're giving the flipper?
Assignment contract.
An assignment contract.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. So they now have to pay you 120. You give the 100 to the seller, and the deal is closed at that point.
So I don't even do that. So the title company is the legal middleman or middlewoman, right? So the title company, I submit the original purchase agreement from A to B, which is seller and me. I turn in the assignment contract, which is the B2C, right? That I sign with the flipper or the landlord that wants to buy more rental properties. I give the title company those two documents, and they just disperse that. So I close in, seller gets 100,000. A buyer gets the house that he paid 124, and I get 120. You know the most amazing part? I share Snapchat on my IG all the time. It's so weird because I don't sign anything at that point. They do the work. I show up afterwards. Back then when I had a 9 to 5, I just go to the title company. They have a check for 20,000 waiting for me. I take it and I go home because they disperse all the money.
Wow. So at that point, basically, your work that you've been putting in, all the calls that you've been putting in, it's now paying off. So now you have no more work to do.
And that's why the 13 months, so going back to our original point, right? I did that for 13 months. I never got a deal for 13 months. I had deals that were closed, that fell through. I had, just 3 hours a day, bro, talking to sellers, dialing on the phone after work, before DJ gigs.
You're working your corporate job too.
Exactly. So I'm between all that and having another job, other businesses, I'm doing it because I knew that once I could get one single deal, no matter how small, no matter how big, if I could just take it from faith to actuality and I could see that this works, I know it's going to change my life because I knew that it would be a proven concept to me that this is not some make-believe. This is a real business. And once that happened, from there the domino effect started, and I just expanded from there.
Okay, so I'd like for you to define, in my research doing about wholesale real estate, I came upon different rules. Actually plays out differently in like different states. So they states that are the thing that made me think about that is when you said about their title organization. So apparently they states that are title states and they states that are Tony states. If does this ring a bell? Is there like an official word for this? And can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah, so some states, they have to have an attorney be the closer, right? So those are attorney states. That means that legal work that gets done, the closing is done by an actual real estate attorney. And they're, like you said, they're a title state. Like Minnesota is a title state. So the closing is done by an actual title company. So they have a closer that actually closes the transaction. They might have a legal team within the title company, but it's a title company that does the closing.
Okay. How useful have your connections been to like further your business? It could be like connections that you got from your DJing gig or like the corporate world. Have those made any kind of transition into, you can say, oh, look at this relationship that I started over here and it translated to a deal in real estate, or even just a relationship that you started in real estate and you didn't really mean much, but it blossomed into something. Have relationships been really helpful in your business?
Absolutely. So my second deal was a lady that, part of how we found who might be motivated, what we'll call a motivated seller, someone that fits our business model, is we're going to different places to find data. So we pay for a lot of data, very expensive, because they might have people that fit the people that is going to the courthouse, right?
Yeah.
So I went to the courthouse once early on in my journey to look for data, and there was a lady that was sitting there that she knew me once I walked in. She's like, Banky? I'm like, I didn't really know who she was at that point. She knew who I was. She told me she was new to wholesaling, and I had just got my first deal then. And so because she knew me, I saw that she was hustling the courthouse. She was handwriting addresses of people that might be interested in selling their house at a discount. I give them a contact. I said, look, you're hustling. If you have any questions, you call me because I want to help you whatever way that I can. I've only been doing this for a year and a half, but let me know if I can help you. And sure enough, a few months later, she called me up. She had a property she was trying to sell. She didn't have any cash buyers. I helped her, and we did a deal together. So we did what was called a joint venture, right? There we help each other, and we're able to split the profit. So that was a relationship that came from DJing. And she saw my snaps and my stories on IG, and she knew that I was doing what she was trying to do. She recognized me, and it all kind of worked out for everyone.
Okay, yeah. So I say that to really highlight to people who are maybe trying to get into the entrepreneurship realm how important it is to really pay attention to who's around you and like not really take relationships for granted. I've had to learn that, and even in my in me doing this show, that it's how you relate to people, it's how you talk to people, it's how you come off. That little conversation that you had with someone, you made what do you call it? A first impression that you had on someone, and now it comes to pay off in like ways that you couldn't have never imagined. You know what I mean? So with that being said, is there any other attributes you think that anybody who's trying to get into the real estate thing, is there anything in particular that you think is really important coming into this game?
Man, there's a few things, man, but like I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest things that you have to come in to understand is, one, nothing good comes easy, right? Like my wife and I, we've been blessed. Like we've done a lot of good things, or we've done a lot of things right to set us up to be able to kind of grow. None of those were ever easy. Not paying debt, not leaving corporate, and making sacrifices to.
We gotta highlight that too, bro. I didn't highlight this to the audience. My man's, congratulations, by the way. My man's just made a transition from the corporate world and is fully now focused on the wholesale real estate gig. So,
man, thank you. Yeah, that was that was a big step. But we're so intentional with everything that we do that we make sure that it was a well planned, thought out, not a random decision. And sure enough, a couple weeks after that, this whole COVID thing happened. People were hitting me up from my work, like saying, hey, are you okay? I know you left. Not knowing that we were so intentional that we had a whole year of of savings that we had to stack.
Anything happens,
for my wife to feel good. I knew I could go out and get enough deals to be good for a long time, but she said, look, for me to be comfortable doing that, I need you to have a year in savings for me to look at. I can log in and say that you have a year worth, that I'm good.
And
I
then
did that.
leave. Yeah.
And then I can leave. Then I did that. Like, put in your 2 weeks. I did that. And guess what? Like a week after that, COVID hit, and then not only that, my company let go 25% of the employees. Right?
25%.
5%. And I feel bad for those guys because some of them were great friends of mine, or still great friends of mine. But that's a whole topic on its own. But just understand that never get comfortable. You know, you're not, this fake sense of job security is not the way. You know, you gotta be financially responsible. You know, because anything can happen at any time, right? So that's just, not to digress too much, but going back to your question of, you know, what are kind of the most important things? Nothing good comes easy, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, they're looking for a quick, get rich quick scheme. It's just, there's not a lot of it. I haven't found anything that is get rich quick scheme.
And this might look like it on face value. For you to say you don't need no cash starting this, you just need to be able to out hustle everybody. It might look like something that like a get rich type of thing. But you're here saying that it really isn't. You have to put in work.
It's not. I mean, it's a simple concept. It's a very, very simple concept, but it's far from easy, right? It's far from easy. It took me 13 months to get my first deal. Some people take some 6 months, take some 9 months. But the next point that I would make is you have to be able to take action, right? People, again, they have analysis paralysis where they're reading every book, they've gone to seminars, they've watched every YouTube video, they've talked, they pay for mentors, but they never take action. And you can't sit down and try to have everything from point A to point Z before you do the first step. You got to get it all right. And that will never take a step. I can promise you, you will never take a step. But if you're willing to just go ahead and say, you know what, I'm willing to take imperfect actions, and just take some steps forward, what's going to happen is you're going to figure it out as you go. And that's what I did. Like, I didn't know everything. I didn't know how I was going to find a cash buyer, but I said, you know what, let me just talk to sellers, find someone that fits the formula, and then from there, I'm going to take the next step. So I think by far the most important thing is, yes, it's good to educate yourself, but you got to be willing then to take the action.
And the interesting thing about that is me having an engineering mind, this is the whole concept of how we solve problems in engineering. It's like looking at this whole big problem and not getting stuck in analyzing it. It's figuring ways to, how do I break it down in order to make the first step as quick as possible? Because once you make that first step, it puts you in a position where now you're starting to think, okay, I need to make the second step. I can't go back on that. I need to make the second step. And you're learning in that process. So you're learning, but you're actually doing it as well. So that's great. So we now we're gonna, because we're almost running out of time here. I hope, is there anything else that I wanted to ask about real estate?
I mean, I'll tell you that it's life changing. I mean, it's not easy, but it's simple. But imagine, like, you know, average assignment fee of what we do is like no one makes less than $5,000 on one transaction. You know, my first deal was $25,000, right? Of doing that, but that took me 13 months of getting the first one. But by the time I got done with the year, I've done like 6, 7 deals. So it's not simple. I mean, it's not easy, but it's simple that if you stay the course, maybe it's not real estate, maybe it's something else.
I got chills when you say 25 bands, like.
Because your programming just changes, because you do it so much that after a while, you know, the goal now, you know, we're doing three to 4 deals every month, and you just start having a different understanding of what you can do with money, right? It becomes a big vehicle to achieve goals that you might have thought was unachievable.
Okay.
Right?
Are you well situated enough now to actually have people do some things for you, an assistant or maybe somebody who's gathering data for you? Has your business taken off to that point?
Yeah, all the above. So after the first deal, the first thing I did was you got to be able to do the job first so you can pass and delegate, right? So I did it for 30 months, so I knew how to talk to sellers. So I hired my first cold caller, a virtual assistant that does all my calls for me, because that was not the best use of my time anymore. So I now have 2 callers. I have another person that is on my team that does all our texting. I have an
Yeah.
assistant that does all the list gathering and the data gathering. So we're slowly kind of, I'm delegating to make sure I'm only doing things that actually are revenue generating activities.
Oh man. To cap it off, bro. Shoot. I'm still gonna say this. I know I've told you this so many times. Thank you so much for coming through. You know what I mean? It means a lot to me. It means that whoever who's watching this in the Minneapolis area or even greater, they now have somebody who they can relate to. You know what I mean, bro? I have your phone number. You know what I mean? I don't have Diddy's phone number. I can hit you up. I can get in contact with you, and you're doing things on a level that I wouldn't have assumed that people would do it. You know what I mean? You're saying like 25,000. Think if you can make, like you're saying, you're making three, and it might not even be 25. One day might not be 25, but if you're making that kind of from one deal, if you can do three other deals in a month, I can only imagine the kind of like wealth that you're building. And so thank you enough for being humble enough to join Sahani. I love to keep going, but time is not on our side. Parting shot to everybody who's listening. Parting shot could be anything, bro. I don't care what it is. Yeah.
Never stop chasing your dreams, man. And like I said, my job, and shout out to you for having me, man. This is a big honor. People like you that have a platform to give to the people makes me happy. That's why, obviously, I have to carve time out to be here, and I am more than honored. Anyone that wants to learn or have any question, I have no course. I don't pay for anything. Like, I will give you free game and knowledge to see you successful. So get at me on Facebook, get at me on Instagram, reach out to me, and I'll bless you with knowledge. But just please make sure you take action, because your family, your friends, they need you to get wealthy, because you can change your entire family tree.
IG handles real quick so they know how to find you.
DJ Banke, DJ Banke, DJ Banke on IG. Same thing on Facebook. Just type that in on Facebook. You'll see my face pop up. I don't use Twitter like that anymore, but Instagram, hit me up in the DM, and I'll answer any questions you have.
Black excellence in its truest form. We're gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much for coming through, and we'll keep chatting up. Maybe I might have you next time for us to like break it down even further when we have more time.
I'm here for it, man. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
All right, man. Have a good day. Stay COVID free. Keep sanitizing.
100%, man. Thank you. You too.
All right. Thanks.
C'est encore Yves Kenao. C'est toujours Yves Kenao qui revient. Cette fois-ci, pour vous dire que Tempo Afrique TV vous offre plus de 4000 chaînes de télévision. Les chaînes européennes, les chaînes américaines, les chaînes asiatiques, les chaînes africaines. À un prix imbattable. À un prix imbattable. Tenez-vous bien. $185 pour 12 mois, inclus le box. Alors, où est-ce que vous pouvez trouver mieux que ça si ce n'est pas sur Tempo Afrique TV? Mesdames, Messieurs, appelez seulement le 612 804 0295 et vous serez servi. Vous serez agréablement surpris de voir plus de 4000 chaînes de télévision rouler sur votre écran comme ça, et vous choisissez laquelle vous voulez. Alors mesdames, n'hésitez pas. N'hésitez surtout pas et ne vous faites pas compter. Prenez votre téléphone, prenez le tout de suite et appelez le 612, le 804, le 02 95. Nous sommes là, ici à Tempo TV, pour rendre votre vie simple et agréable. Alors, saisissez l'occasion. $185 pour toute une année, pour 12 mois, inclus le box. Quoi de mieux que ça?
Merci.